Alright, so now time for my next comedy show. If you're a kid, please don't watch this. It's going to have a little bit more adult content to it. So please don't watch this if you're a child. It's going to be talking about a little bit more adult stuff, but it's a funny story nonetheless. So here we go. I grew up kind of poor. I grew up in a trailer park. And you never know what you'd see daily at a trailer park. There's always something strange happening, something odd happening. You always had to stay on your toes. But yeah, I was a feral kid that kind of just did whatever I wanted. My mom was always working, single mom, so she was always spending all of her time at work. So I was just kind of left to fend for myself. And you never know what kind of stuff I'd get into. So my mom's an animal lover, loves animals with all her heart. And she, bless her heart, she tries to save every animal. And she couldn't say no to dogs. There was a point in her time where she would try and rescue every dog or cat and everything that she would see. And so a lot of times she'd end up with the worst cases. And for those that don't know, when a dog and a coyote breed, most of the time it makes them completely blind. There's some kind of thing there that it doesn't turn out right. They're a little off. That's not a right creature. And it's kind of rare, but it does happen. So we ended up with one of these dogs that was half coyote, half normal dog. I think it was maybe a collie mix or something. It was kind of hard telling. A little bit bigger dog, probably 60, 70 pounds, you know, if that big. Yeah, probably about 60 pounds, 70 pounds. Anyways, it was a good sized dog, but completely blind. And this dog was the sweetest dog ever. It was such a nice dog. It was such a lover, such a cuddler, but man, it could not see anything at all. It was completely blind, and it would just go trotting across the yard and just smoke a tree. I mean, it would just hit a tree out of nowhere, and it would just be like, bam, and just hit a tree. And I'd feel so bad because this poor blind dog. And then sometimes he'd get worked up and he'd run into a tree, and then he'd freak out a little bit, and he'd start bouncing off stuff like a ping pong ball, just boom, 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 boom. This poor dog, he had the greatest heart, but boy, he wasn't the smartest either. And it was kind of rough watching him. And he was just one of those dogs, you know, but he was just the sweetest dog. So yeah, I don't know, probably 10 years old, and I'm hanging out by myself at the house, and all of a sudden, the dog, I'd let the dog out, and we had a fenced-in area, but it didn't always hold the dog. Sometimes they could get out. I think I might have left the gate open because I didn't really think he could get out or whatever. He's blind. I wasn't really too worried about it. I mean, how far is he going to go? He's blind. I'm going to go out and check on him in a minute, you know. And anyway, so I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I start hearing, and he's just like, raising absolute bloody chaos. And it sounds like the dog is freaking dying. And I'm like, oh no, there's something majorly wrong. And I'm like, this dog is for sure dying. And I'm a 10-year-old kid, you know, and so I go outside, and I'm like, oh no. And I look, and this dog was dog-knotted with a tiny little dog. And I think it was like a Shih Tzu or something. It was something tiny, and I bet it weighed 5 to 10 pounds, in 5 to 10 pound range. And they were dog knotted together, which if people don't know, when dogs mate, they get stuck together and they cannot release. And so it turns into kind of an ordeal. And so he was going one way, and the other dog was going the other way, and they're trying to split apart. And he's just screaming bloody murder. He's going, arr, 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 arr. And I have no idea what's going on because I'm a freaking child. And at this point, the dog starts to freak out. So he starts running, and I mean running, and he's dragging the little dog behind him. And the more he runs, the more he screams because he's like, Rrr! And the dog behind him's getting drugged, and it's screaming, and they're all running around and bouncing off everything like a ping pong ball, except there's 2 of them this time, and they're bouncing off everything, and I have no idea what's going on. I'm all freaking out going, oh my God, what do I do? And I had no clue what's going on. So this whole scene is going on, partaking, and I'm running around trying to knock on the neighbor's door because it was her dog, and I didn't know what happened. She wasn't there, and I'm running around freaking out. And finally one of the neighbors like kind of comes over and explains it to me a little bit, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's what's going on. And so I had to learn how that was my instance of learning how dogs mate, I guess. But it was the funniest thing you ever seen, just watching that blind dog and her dog knotted, and he was just dragging her like a trailer all around the neighborhood, all through the hood, man, all through the trailer park. He was just bouncing off everything, cars, trees, it didn't matter. I mean, he's blind. What's he going to do? He's just freaking out. And you could imagine, I mean, I try to empathize, you know, and if I was in the same scenario, I would definitely be freaking out. And he had no idea what was going on, and it was just a really crazy experience, and it was just a random day, you know. He was just hanging out as a kid, and all of a sudden, all this happens. So, yeah, I figured it's one of my many funny stories in life that I want to try and share with people, maybe bring a smile to your day. But yeah, it's just, it was hilarious, and I figured I needed to tell the world. So yeah, appreciate y'all keeping up. Subscribe. I want to be doing this once a week for the next year or so. I got 50 funny stories labeled out, and I got another 50 or 52 inventions that I'm going to be releasing as well. I'm going to be doing a lot of philosophical interviews and stuff like that. So just stay posted. I'm going to release something every day. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.